please give a huge, warm round of applause for Mr. Emilio Gonzalez. Thank you.
It's not every day where you get to follow your daughter on stage.
You're welcome. So there's so many questions, but I would like to just ask you the questions that I care about.
Sure.
And everyone else can ask. So you get on stage and you can do the same, right? It's fine. So I've been very blessed to teach some of the smartest minds and executives that are magical, from World Bank executives to heads of states to working like you. Why is it that you're uniquely qualified to lead this city into the future?
Great question. Well, I think, and that was a question that was asked of me when I first ran in the primary. There were 13 candidates. What sets you apart? We had a menagerie of, Republicans, pseudo-Republicans, Democrats, hyper-Democrats. We had independent. We had a communist, which I found intriguing. More intriguing was that the communist got 400 votes. Which makes you wonder where are the 400 communists in Miami? But I've been very fortunate, and I'm not ashamed to use the word privilege because I have been privileged. I came to this country as a small boy, and I grew up in your basic middle class family, but it was a family that very early on pushed the importance of education. I graduated from the University of South Florida. I was 20 years old when I graduated. For those of you who are of an age, you couldn't get a beard when you're 20 years old. So on a whim, I joined the Army with a buddy of mine. And it was the adventure of a lifetime. I remember telling my parents that I was going to join the Army, and my mother was horrified. She says, "Why can't you be a doctor like everybody else's son?" But I had a blast. And in every job that I've had since then, I have been in a leadership position. So as a young lieutenant, I was a platoon leader of 25, 30 men. And as the director of the U.S. Immigration Service, I was the leader of 19,000 employees. And you work your way up the ladder, and you realize that nobody else running has the experience, the connections, because if you read my bio, it tends to sound like an obituary. But what it does is it tells you that I have gone through many stages in my life. I have been exposed to many people. I've been exposed to situations. Nothing phases me. Absolutely nothing phases me. Either when I was assigned to El Salvador, somebody was assigned to kill me, or when I was at the Immigration Service and I had a congressman, yelling and screaming at me. Nothing phases me. To include serving as city manager in Miami, which quite frankly was, I thought, quite comical. But again, you have to bring, Miami is a truly global city. And I'm not being flippant to it. Miami 2025 is not Miami 1970. And therefore, the people that lead our city have to have that vision, have to be able to walk into a room and represent our interests, represent our people, represent our culture, and do it anywhere at any time. Right now, I'm up the ball. Actually, but in the primary, of the 13, I was the only one that was still working, by the way. I still have a job. I have a day job. And I want to keep it that way because it keeps you grounded. If you're not working, if you haven't worked for 25 years, if you've gone from elected office to elected, that's all you want to do. You're really not that good. You aren't. So I think that I bring the experience, the gravitas, if you will, to make our city proud. And thankfully the voters thought that way as well. In the primary, here I am.
Thank you. Okay. You talked about several things in your campaign, and one of those was to basically we need to go and inspect what's already happening in the city. we need to find with another
Correct.
side.
Correct.
So let's say for a moment, we've got the magic of AI to help us with this audit, right? So we do a proper audit, be thorough, leave nothing off the table. You're gonna piss off a lot of people.
That's the plan.
How do you plan to get through this thing? Because this is, this could shake up the city quite a bit. So how do we get to a peaceful resolution on the other side?
It doesn't have to be peaceful.
I like where you're
No,
going.
but listen, I say that because, and I tell this to a lot of people, look, I am not a politician. And if, I bump my head and come December the 9th, and I'm not the mayor, you know what happens? Absolutely nothing. I go watch my grandson play basketball. For other people in this line of work, they're shattered. They don't know what to do. They've got to go find a job somewhere. So I'm doing this with the right mindset, and I will tell you that for what you said in audit, I don't think I would start with AI for audit. I would want to bring in good old-fashioned forensic accountants, but I would use AI for permitting. And listen, I've gone on record. I am of the opinion that if I were to close down the permitting department tomorrow, and we do not issue any permits, it would be better than what we have now. It would be better. It would be completely self-regulating. By the way, I won't do this, but this is what has driven me to 100% of every business owner that I come across, their number one concern is permitting. I haven't found one that said, yeah, it's not that bad. 100%. Let me know when you want me to get long-winded. I did a podcast yesterday, I think it was yesterday, with Felix Mendersky, the F&B guy. He has a chart in his office. 150 restaurants in Miami that have either closed or in the process of closing. Pardon me? Because of the permitting issue.
Wow.
Because most of these businesses go bankrupt before they open the door. Yeah, I have a friend, he waited 5 years. Okay? They come up with stuff. You need a grease trap for something that doesn't require a grease trap. You get inspected by Jose, and next thing you know, you did everything, and you find out that Jose quit, now it's Jesus, and he wants to do something else. And you just constantly see this. And it's almost like it's purposeful. Hey, let's see how we can stop progress. Okay, how we do it? Permitting. But to your point, I think that we, and I don't say this just to be cute, but I want to know where the money is. In the military, when you take over a new unit, you're the brand new commander, the first thing you do is you ask for an inspector general inspection. Why? Because you want to know what you're inheriting. You want to know what you're responsible for. You don't want to have to be responsible for somebody else's garbage. And then when that inspection is over, you say, okay, this is now mine. I own this, but I'm not going to own this. I left being city manager 5.5 years ago, and we had a budget of $1.5 billion. Back then it was like, wow, we have $1 billion budget. Today's budget is $3 billion. And you have to sort of ask the question, where is it? We've grown in 5 years, our budget has grown 100%. So where'd it go? So I think that's a fair question when you walk into a new administration and say, I want to know where the money is because I can't promise people that I'm going to do A, B, C, and D if I don't know what we have the money to do. So for me, an audit is like not day one audit one. I want to know what's mine.
Absolutely makes sense. Okay. So now let's talk about Miami in the future. Right? Let's get through the messy parts, let's get through all of that. What do you envision life is like for the typical person living in the city of Miami? Like, what's different under your administration and your leadership than the life of residents today?
My goals are practical and aspirational. So, listen, we live in a two-tiered city right now. We live in the city of skyscrapers. We live in a city for everybody else. I used to own a boat, which I had to sell, because
Can you guys speak
you know,
up?
boat is one of those things where you use less and less, it's like a pool.
Can you guys speak up a little, please?
Sure. Sure, I used to own a boat, and you go on Biscayne Bay, and you look at this beautiful skyline, you say, wow, man, that's great. And then you go 5 blocks in, and you find people that can't make their rent, or are gonna have a hard time paying their groceries. So my vision is to have a city where we can all benefit. I don't have a problem with the sky rises because they generate tax revenue, but we should all be benefiting from that tax revenue. Our students at FIU and UM and Miami-Dade, they ought to be able to graduate, stay here and work, and they ought to be able to find a place to live. Imagine graduating from FIU with an education degree, first year teacher in Miami-Dade. I don't know where you'd live. I don't know where you'd live, even a first year firefighter or a first year police officer. By the way, just as an aside, most of the police officers in the city of Miami don't live in Miami. And you ask them, and they say it's too expensive. And so my goal is to have an equalizing effect, so people don't have to leave to be successful. They should be successful here.
Great. And this will be my final question, and then we'll move on to the next segment of the Q&A. Or maybe unless there's a few more questions we want to discuss right now. So let's talk about technology, where we're going with AI in the future of governance. There's this balance of over-policing, policing for profit, right? No privacy, versus security, safety, and great public service. Where does that lie for you?
AI is a tool to create efficiencies, okay? I'm not saying that we should replace people, but we can. And I think that where we can use AI, and listen, I go back to my default position, permitting. AI is perfect for permitting. You ought to be able to pull a permit for whatever in a reasonable amount of time. I'm again, because I'm so radical, I'm to the point now where, and I'm waiting to be proven wrong. If your permit isn't approved in 120 days, it's approved. Whatever it is. Whatever. And let's see what happens. You know, maybe we have to regroup 60 days later and say, you know what, that was a bad idea. But you know what, we tried something different. Because what we have now is awful. People are being put out of business. People are losing their jobs and their homes because of the way we function as a municipal corporation. So AI, I think, right up front, permitting would be huge, huge. And by the way, people will fight you the whole way.
Yeah.
Because the more efficient you become, the less people you need. And all of a sudden, people start complaining, I'm losing my job, I can't get a raise. But you've gotta make that statement. And I'm gonna make just one more statement, and then we can. I'm doing this because I feel like I have to, because I need to. But I have no intentions of being just the next mayor of Miami. Miami has had 44 mayors. The next mayor of Miami is the 45th mayor. So if you want a mayor that's going to function in the same way as the 44 previous ones, I'm not your guy. I want to think bold. I want to be on the cutting edge. I want to talk about homestead exemption taxes. I want to talk about offering every resident in the city of Miami health insurance. Not just employees, every resident. Okay, I want to talk about the death tax. Y'all know what the death tax is? I made that up. The death tax is, it's so expensive to live here. I live in the roads, right? And I paid like $200,000 for my house, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. The day I'm not here, my daughter cannot inherit that house because her taxes will then be at the valuation of the house when she inherits it. So that house might have a $2 million valuation. So her taxes might be $80,000 a year. She doesn't make $80,000. So what do? You sell the house. And everybody else is selling their houses. Worse, if she were to move in with me to take care of me, and my house becomes her house, and I pass, she not only inherits a huge tax or tax lien, but we should probably gonna have to evict her because that's no longer her house. So there's gotta be a way, and by the way, this is a state issue, not a city issue, of working with the governor and say, hey, why isn't there portability?